Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's workshop on administration and management of NITRO Studio itself. So we're kind of taking a little different tack here today. Actually, I'm going to let a few more folks trickle in. Looks like we still have a few coming in. It's just the top of the hour just now. So we're going to go ahead and give it a minute or two for everyone to trickle in. Let's see, we got got a bunch of people coming in, a lot of familiar faces, a couple new folks. That's good. And who've been in these workshops. A lot of folks been in these workshops before. Some of you look like you're new, so that's great. Welcome. Hope you get enjoyment out of these workshops and join up with future ones as we go through, and hopefully have a chance to review the ones we've already done. Okay, here, so let me see. We got a few more folks coming in. No, I think we're probably good to get going. So any of the few that should trickle in at the last minute here, we'll just have to get them caught up a little bit later. Okay, great. So welcome everyone to today's workshop on administration of NITRO Studio. My name is James Restivo with Crow Canyon Software. As frequent attendees know, I am the one who gives these workshops for the most part. We talk about some aspect or element of NITRO that we think will be good or interesting to review and talk about that. So today we're talking about general management of NITRO and just kind of general administrative stuff. How do you install it? How do you update it? How do you the rare off chance you might want to deactivate it? I can show you there's a link for that. So we're going to go through a few of these things today, and just saw a few more folks coming in, so I wanted to wait a minute. I think we're good. We're going to get going. Okay, so again, so this is NITRO Studio. Of course, we have the NITRO Studio page up in front of us here on the screen. If you can't see my screen, pop a question into the box. Oh, let me back up for a second. There is a questions box in the webinar, GoToWebinar panel for those who have not attended these before. There's a question place to ask questions that will be answered. I'll probably get them answered as part of the webinar or part of the workshop as we go through it today. But pop your question in there at any point in time. Anything doesn't make sense, audio goes silent, video goes silent, any kind of feedback whatsoever, you can put in that questions box, whether it's about the content or about the webinar in general. That's all fine. But I'm going to start a little bit from the beginning here. So a lot of you guys already have NITRO installed, and some of you don't. I do see a few new faces. I know you don't quite have it in there yet. So I'm going to kind of walk through that piece of it, how to install it, and maybe it's a reminder for some of you, but it just kind of shows you, where we're at with getting the install done. And then I'll walk you through the administrative piece of it. So we're going to start off with a new site I just created today. I have not put NITRO on it before. I have NITRO in the tenant, though. There's one step we're not going to cover today. NITROs are deployed to the tenant, but what we're going to do here is take this site, add NITRO to it. It's a team site. This is in the modern UI in SharePoint Online. So it may look a little different if you're using on-premises or using classic sites, but the functionality of the process is going to be essentially the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a new app from here. And if it's not part of your organization already, you can go and download NITRO Studio from the store. That's where you might have to get the tenant involved, or at a higher level, approve that app to be added to your tenant. Again, we're not covering that step here since we've already done it for this tenant, but there's a link there to go to your SharePoint store and get the NITRO Studio toolset. So we're going to click on it here. Just click on this NITRO Studio. We're going to go ahead and trust it. Trust it. All right, there we go. And that's going to add it to our site contents at the root site. So again, we're working on the root site of a site collection. I know with the modern Office 365, Microsoft is pushing for the flat structure where there are no subsites, and that's fine. We can work in that scenario. So that's what we're going to work on today, is putting it into the root site. That's where it's going to stay. That's where it's going to be activated. There will only be one site, and that's okay. It works that way. So we can go ahead and refresh this, and then, yep, there it is. We open that up. So when you add it for the first time to your site, you're going to get something, potentially get something like this. Some kind of error message that says you need to be added to site collection admin. Now I know a lot of times when you created the site, you made yourself the group owner, you already should be the admin. I don't quite get it. There's some disconnect between what Microsoft is doing with that group owner setting when you create the site and what we're looking for with the site collection admin. It's just something we, obviously put this page here for a reason, so we can kind of get around that. Let me see here a second. Okay. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. I paused my screen earlier and I apologize. I did not uncheck it. So, all right, apologize for that. Let me back up for a second because you guys weren't seeing my changes. So here I installed NITRO Studio. I went to app, create a new app. I added NITRO Studio from the options down here. It was available, I guess, because I added it's not available anymore. Clicked it, trusted it, and then it brought me to the site contents page. And then the site contents page is showing me NITRO Studio. So I open up NITRO Studio and I get to this point. So that's pretty much all you missed up to this point, is that those few screens. So then from here, what we can do is add yourself as administrator. I quite haven't found a way to do it through the SharePoint Admin Center. Not sure why that's the case. I maybe just haven't poked around enough, but this is where I've had the most success. You go to this page here and put yourself in there. I'm logged in as admin account. I hit OK. I come back to NITRO Studio. And yeah, so so there's a question about using groups in that section there. We don't have a way to read the groups. We have to explicitly say who the people are for those site collection admins. And that's something we're investigating. I'm not sure what the technical limitation is on that one. I'm sure that there seems to be a technical limitation on that, but we'll keep working on that and see if we can enable it for groups at the site collection admin level. But for now, you do have to explicitly say that you as a logged in user is the site collection admin, or at least one of the site collection admins. So once we've done that, we can come back to this page, refresh, resubmit. And now you're going to get this setup here. So we have to do this first. We're going to do the setup on this side and run the process. And that's pretty much it. That's going to install it, and now you can activate it for your sites. We'll come back to this in a minute and activate it for a site. No, it does it pretty quickly. Okay, so we can go ahead and do that. And sometimes you'll get this. I think this is just a UI thing. Sometimes it comes up. I'll refresh it. It should go away. Let me hit this up again. Oh, yeah, I think it's already done. So once you have it there, now you can see you can go and activate it for your site. Activating for the site's really simple. Just hit activate, and then I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then pop over to another page to talk about some of the other things that you can do on the NITRO Studio interface here for the admin area. So I'm gonna go ahead and activate this. And I'm going to let that, pick your license, whether it's enterprise or trial. For the most part, you're probably going to have trial. If you don't have enterprise license, it might limit it to just a couple sites for you, depending on what license you purchased for NITRO. But if you have enterprise, you can use that one, and you hit OK, and then starts going through the process. So we're going to let that do its thing over here, and I'm going to switch over to another site here. So as you go through NITRO, you get it installed. You're using it, you're configuring it, you're going to get updates every once in a while. So we do roll out those updates fairly frequently. So they do come, at least for the Office 365 world, then we do release them for on-premises. So I think we got another one coming out this week for on-premises. So that's going to be about every month or so. We get a new update for on-premises customers, and we'll be rolling that out shortly. But if you're on Office 365, you'll see this. If you come into this page often enough, you'll see this pretty frequently. So we can go ahead and hit this upgrade link. So if you see this, go ahead and do it. It's not going, it's just going to update some of the web part apps. Sometimes we're releasing little bug fixes, maybe a minor feature here and there. If we're releasing a bigger feature, you're going to go over to the forum or the version log and see if there's what kind of feature we've released over there. So then you can see we've upgraded this. That's one part of it, but then there's also updating the site. So updating the site will take it from an earlier version of Nitro to a newer version of Nitro. So we're not seeing that from this page here, and but we can see it from the Nitro admin home. So I'll show you that in just a little bit. But just kind of walk through what's on this page here within this particular site. Again, we're managing the individual site, not the site collection. When we go to Nitro admin home, we'll be talking about the whole site collection. But we have our individual site here, the different apps, of course, for Nitro. You've seen this before. This is how you can get in, one way to get into a lot of these apps. Up here at the top, you have the logged in user and what site it is. So you can just simply click this. It's going to open up a new tab and bring you to the actual site. So if you want to open that, you can do that. Then you can see this subscription status. You can update the site directly from here, or you can do a deactivate the site. Don't do that. No one's going to deactivate the sites. Don't do that. A couple of the things we have on here are links over. You may have clicked through these, may not have, but on the left-hand side, these are going to be links through to the actual manual we have up on our website. So this is a live refresh of what we have in our manual on the. So as we update it, this information will change here. And then we also have videos here. If you're new to Nitro, you can go and watch a video on our webpage to go. No, it's giving me an ad for some reason, but you can go to YouTube and see the video there for Nitro Forms. You could also do any one of these like portal, branding. It's going to bring you to the manual. You can click through that. You can go go to themes. You go to theme builder. This is a new site, new page we just added to our manual, so you can check that out. Read through it. You can always go to our website as well to check this stuff out too. But I want to show that it is possible to go directly to it from within the Nitro interface, so you don't have to poke around on our website. You can just go and get to it. Speaking of the website, there are also resources on the right-hand side. If you haven't clicked through these or looked at these before, essentially it's just links over to our website for workshops like we're talking about today. Go sign up for the next one, which is SMS texting. That's a pretty cool new feature we're going to be talking about in a couple weeks. You could do support and training. Just go to our .help page. We have a link over to our version log from in here as well. So if you ever have a question on what was included in this version that I have, you can click that version log link over here. Tutorials is going to bring you over to the support page again, where we have tutorial videos, etc. And then additional resources is going to bring you somewhere. Nitro Resources blog post. So it's kind of a catch-all for Nitro Resources, not just focused on support and training, but more like informational stuff, maybe some cool projects we've done. A few blog posts that we've done, so you can kind of see that information here, case studies, so you can take a look at those things. But that's all, the point is that's all accessible from within the Nitro Studio interface here at the site level. These links are available at the admin home level as well. But that's pretty much it. I mean, it's those resources. You got the apps in the middle. We have some bots apps, and we have some legacy apps that you probably don't have to worry too much about if you're if you haven't used them before. Don't worry about it. But that's from here. So let me go over to the Nitro admin home. And so this is bringing us back to the top level. So here we are at the top level, root site, kind of the same thing we got going on over here. This should probably be done now. So I'll go ahead and hit OK on that. So you can see now we've got the same thing. This is going to be what your flat structure is going to look like if you're just using root sites and site collections, essentially, no subsites. That's fine. This is what every Nitro admin home is going to look like for you. But if you're using the style where you have multiple subsites, it's going to look a little bit like this. And you have options over here to show, limit what is being shown: active sites, activated sites, or non-activated sites, or you can show all sites. So you got a few different things. You'll notice over here on the left-hand side, you got those same links I was just talking about. So you can go and review any of the Nitro apps and details from here. We got those same, rectangular boxes that I showed you just before. So you do have those resources here as well as on the site level itself. But one of the things I want to point you to, a couple of things you have up here, you can check your subscription status. So if you've always kind of ignored this area, you can kind of dig into it and see, okay, what's my subscription status? What type of license do I have? How many sites am I allowed to have? And then you'll notice that this is a clickable link here, subscription details. So this brings up a page here where you can see your details of this subscription. It's going to show you what type of license you have for the tenant. It's going to give you a way to add subscription, which opens up an email to our sales team essentially. You're going to see all the sites within the site collection are going to be here. So you can see all that information. What type of license is it? Is it an application license? Is it a NITRO license? We do license the NITRO sites and the application sites a little differently. So if you are just using plain, NITRO without an application, that's fine. You'll see NITRO all across the board. But if you have a mix and match, you'll see some of the applications, or maybe you're just using an application, and that's fine too. You'll see just the application. You'll see on a site-by-site basis what the license type is, whether it's enterprise, trial, multi-site license, one-site license, that kind of thing. You'll see over here. End date for that license, and then what the status would be. So, and then if you have a question, what is the actual URL? That information is over here. Again, we just take that sites/workshop/functions, and that's going to go at the end of our tenant domain. And if we click manage over here, there's a certain process for upgrading the application sites to if you're using an enterprise license, or if you're if you have an application license, we usually put that in the background. We can do that license update. But if you're trialing one of our applications, like say you have NITRO and you're like, hey, I want to try the purchase request program. Hey, I want to try the help desk program and see if that works for me. You will get a trial license and it will work for a certain period of time. And then if you want to make that purchase, you can work with us and we'll make that happen. But that gives you a way to see what's going on within that specific site collection. But then you also have a way to go up the chain to all the site collections across the whole tenant. So this is really useful if you're managing it from you have a different, each site is going to be its own, each site collection doesn't have subsites. That's fine. This is where you can see all that information. You'll see your license type at the top and end date, so you can track that. You'll see all the site collections where NITRO is deployed. And again, this is only showing site collections where NITRO is deployed. It's not going to show any site collection where NITRO is not deployed. If NITRO is not on that site collection, we have no knowledge of that site collection. We don't know it exists. So that's not going to appear here. And then you're going to see your portal license. Again, that's a little different than our NITRO license. Nowadays, with the portals, the story is a little bit different. We used to have a separate Power Portal license, which was we treated differently as a portal license, and then we kind of changed things up, and we're able to develop portals with NITRO as sort of like a one-site license for NITRO. So it's a little different. This might be a little legacy for some people, but others might use it and have those Power Portals, and you want to see what your what that looks like for you. Typically, they're related to an application, and typically you wouldn't be seeing this many. That's really only because it's a demo site for us, and we've done all sorts of lab and test and trial and all sorts of fun stuff. So typically, you wouldn't see that many portal sites, but that's what that section is for. But this section will show you all the sites where NITRO is deployed, all the site collections. And then if you click through it, that's going to bring you to the actual site. I don't know what's on these sites, so I'm not going to click through, but it will bring you to them if you need to. And the other cool thing, export to Excel. You have this here at all these levels. You can export to Excel, track that information, save it. Like you may use it for change control kind of thing. Say, okay, as of 5/19, 2021 at 2:19 p.m. these are the site collections where NITRO was deployed. But then tomorrow you come back and say, okay, let me run it again. There's a delta. You can compare it and see it. But you do that through Excel, right? You do have that option here as well, so you can export to Excel from here. Then if you ever delete a site, you can clear those deleted sites. We have that option down here, and you'll see that back on this all site collections, you have that clear deleted sites option as well. So a few different things we can do there. And then as far as the application, so you'll notice that up here it changes a little bit, when we're on the individual site, like our purchasing site we have over here, which I got back, I went up from. And so there's different levels. So you go to manage. If you have NITRO activated on site, you hit manage. You go to that site, and it brings you to the interface we were looking at earlier. Hit NITRO admin home. It goes back to where we were, to here. And then from here, we can go to NITRO applications. So if you're wanting to add an application, trial it out, check it out, or installing it for the first time, what you would do is, if you end up here, a second, just give it a second here. If you end up here, there it is. Okay. If you end up here, you go to NITRO admin home. Then you click on over to NITRO applications. So for on-prem folks, you're pretty much going to have just the classic section. For Office 365, you have classic and modern. So you have both those options. Updates tab should probably be pretty blank for you. We have a few applications we can run through updates. Some, we'll work with you individually and enable something over there if we need to. But there's more of an ad hoc, like one-off kind of stuff that we need to do to help manage your particular instance, perhaps. But I just want to show you that you can choose. You can choose classic or modern. One thing I'll point out, if you're installing NITRO for the first time on a site collection and you want to go and do an application, let's say you want to do a modern application, you come down here, you hit modern, you're like, oh, I want to do this one like customer service. Let me try that one out. You'll notice that there's this message up here. So we want to make sure, or you want to make sure that you activate the features first, because what's going to happen, it's going to refresh and put you back on the classic tab. So just be aware of that if you're using the modern and classic. You can you want to do modern, you want to activate the features and then go back and hit modern, and that way you're doing the modern version of that application versus the classic. If you want to do classic, that's fine too. Entirely up to you. That doesn't take that long. Do the feature activation. And guys, this is all real time. I'm not doing anything to help speed this up. This is all real time. Like, I installed NITRO on the site, I activated it, I added those features in. That's how quick it is. I mean, we're only 22 minutes in, and we can go ahead and get an application going. So it's pretty quick to get up and running with NITRO, pretty fast. But again, so you click me back over to classic. Let's say I want to go with modern, and then I can go and click one of these application sites. Again, assuming you have an application license and or want to try one of these out on a trial basis, we can do it from here. So I won't go through it because there's particulars for each one of these. If you're going to be working with an application or installing an application, you can certainly always work with our team to help facilitate that, to help do that and get it installed. If you want to take it on your own, there's a few input parameters as far as where you want that site to be, typically as a sub-site. So it's kind of up to you where you want it to live. But yeah, that kind of covers what you can do with the management of NITRO at this level here. You have the links out to different resources, you have the application, potentially applications, you have the ability to see through where all the sites are deployed. With your subscription details, you can come in here and see where all your where it's placed. See, there's only one thing here, all site collections. That's across the whole tenant, of course, but yeah, it's just the one site collection. So you can get all that information from there. And that kind of covers it. Let me just look at the questions boxes. It looks like we had a couple if we came in here. Setup or install button. After updating a site collection, is it necessary to then manage each site to complete the setup or install button that appears at the top of the site's admin page? Okay, so after updating site collection, is it necessary to then manage each site to complete the setup? Manage each site to complete the setup. So you deploy it to a site, and then you have to run the setup. I think that is going to have to be the case for the most part when you activate it for a site. Let me see. So if I create a site, if I create a subsite here, and let's see, new subsite, and just do one real quick. I'm just gonna do team site no, and hit create. So yeah, sometimes the setup button, it looks like you're talking about the setup button over, let's see, where was it? Let's see, purchase, maybe in this one. Yeah, it went away. I'll connect you offline on that question because I'm not exactly sure which set button you're referring to, but we can take a look at that one offline. So the question about reinstalling trial version to extend the expiration date. So typically per tenant, we give you 3 trial sites, I think. Let me think about this. I think once you get Nitro installed, the trial is good for 45 days. And then if you reinstall it on a site, I think I don't know if it resets that trial. I'll have to get back to you on that one. But if you want to extend a trial at any point in time, you can go ahead and reach out to us and we'll, just give us the site details and the site information and we can go ahead and extend, potentially extend that trial if we need to. So we can do that. So answer that one, I think. So then, let's see what I want to cover next. So the next thing I want to kind of talk about. So certainly if you have any more questions about Nitro management, pop them into the box. As you see, I can go and follow up with you afterwards if we need to, and we can take a look at we can take a look at your questions specifically in detail. But I want to point out a couple new things since I got you guys here. You're on the call today. A lot of you are frequent Nitro users, so you might find find this interesting. We've released a couple new things recently, or really one new thing I want to point out with because we're going to talk about SMS texting in the next workshop. But one, we might have a workshop for this one down the line just to exclusively kind of talk about it. But we have this new ID column, and you might have seen this in your Office 365 tenants. We've released this in the last couple weeks or so. And this new ID column is pretty neat because you can go and select, let's select the list. I'll do purchase requests here. So you can create a unique ID for your items in SharePoint. So if it's a form, if it's a purchase request, like an example here, if it's something else, you can go and create a unique dynamically created ID that's not just like case ID 22. That's pretty boring. Maybe you want to make it more interesting than that. This is where the ID column can come into play, make it more interesting. You can pull in information from your list. You could use an existing single line of text column, or you can create a new column, up to you. We could do ID column, and no spaces on that one. I actually don't think it even lets me, it does let me put in space. Anyway, don't put in spaces for your internal names. Then we have an option to apply it on item create or item update. We can put a pattern in there, so we could pull in information from our list. We can use any of our functions on the right-hand side to build that. So if we wanted to add dates, if we wanted to get users, parse user information, get an actual day, actual day, month, and year, so we could get that instead of the weird SharePoint date that they put in there with a Z, blah, blah, blah stuff. So this gives you a way to manage that formatting so you can have it look a little nicer. Things where we can switch things to lowercase or switch it to uppercase, which is pretty neat. We could dynamically put in list or site IDs, URLs, and titles. Things like that. So we can add numbers to the left or to the right, and then we can do a bunch of different things, a bunch of different functions for creating those IDs. And then we can do that on item create. We can do it on item or item update. So you can choose one or both or neither. Well, choose one, but otherwise it won't work. But choose one or both. And then a quick note on the before save, after save, especially on item apply and item create. If you're using the ID field at any point in time, that's not going to exist until the item is created, of course, right? So the ID does not exist. Why is that not in here? That's weird. I don't know why ID field is not here. That's strange. Okay. I don't know why the ID field is not there, but that's okay. What you want to, maybe for the very, very reason that we need to do after save. Actually, let me check that. Nope. Okay. I don't know why it's not there. I'll check into that before we actually talk about this one in great detail. But I just want to point it out to you, kind of give you a quick overview of it. Oh, and padding is good too, because you can put padding of zeros to the left of your number. So if you have, and you can max out the length. So if you wanted to do 00010 as instead of 10, that you set your max length to 5 and have your leading zeros be leading character be zeros. So, and then you can put conditions around it to decide when to create the ID column. But I just want to show you that because that's a new release. You might have seen it. We do have a manual on it, and there's some information out there about it. But I want to point it out to you directly because I got you all here today, and I just thought it'd be nice to show that to you. So, all right. If there's any other questions, feel free to pop them into the box. Otherwise, we've got the kind of standard spiel of the next workshops coming up. We got this SMX texting, which is going to allow you to send a text to a phone number. So where else would you send a text? Send it to a phone number. That's through the Twilio service. So you might have noticed, and if you're poking around in NITRO, you might have noticed that, let me pull it up with site information, site settings. And where is it? NITRO site settings. You may have noticed if you've been using this at all, maybe resetting your cache as you're making changes to forms or making changes to different things, you got to reset that cache. You'll notice that there's a new option down here called Twilio SMS API connection settings. That's what that's all about. So that's about a way for you to make a connection between the site and your Twilio account. It is a paid for service. You have like a free temporary account and then you think you have to pay for it. It's not very much, but it is a paid for service. But we are hooking into it, and we are allowing you to send sending text to individual phones. That could be notification that a new work order has come in, notification that a new purchase request needs an approval. So it could be any type of notification. And we're working on the reverse side of that. When that person responds to that text, then we can take some action on that response. We're not quite there yet. That's in development, and that's why we've got a couple more weeks before I'm going to talk more deeply about this, because hopefully that'll be there by then. But it is going to. I just want to point out to you, it is there today, so you can look at that SMX connection if you want to take a look at it. Yeah, so then we're going to be talking about that in a couple weeks, and then we have, we always have our forum that you can connect into, our .help site. Always put a plug in for this, get people, kind of excited, interested about the forum. Come in, post, we'll respond. You can see it's fairly active. What else we got? The upcoming webinars, not workshops, upcoming webinars. Let me see what we've got on tap for that. Moving on up to modern forms and retiring InfoPath. Another, we got an InfoPath discussion. We're going to talk about, getting off InfoPath. So if any of you guys are still using InfoPath, you should know NITRO is a good replacement for it already. If you're not, if you're using our applications and not using NITRO generally and looking for a way to get away from InfoPath, you should have a way to take a look at that, and you'll have a way to take a look at that and see how NITRO can really fit your needs for InfoPath replacement. So we're going to be doing that next. Was that next week? No, June 3rd. Yeah, so in a couple weeks, not a little ways out.
Yeah.
But
it's for graduation. We're graduating from InfoPath to NITRO.
Yeah,
we're having a graduation party. You have to graduate from InfoPath to NITRO.
That's right.
We have a little video we just did on it. We're gonna post on social. It's kind of fun.
Good. Good
deal.
Yeah,
I joined a little late, but James, did you answer the questions? I saw some questions, but maybe you answered them like.
I did. There's a couple questions I think we'll get back to offline, at least one of them. But that was it. Yeah, we got that. We got those answered. So yeah, I think a little shorter of a workshop today. It's NITRO management's got some good stuff to it, but it's not that difficult to get in there and take a look at. So that's about it. So if you have any other questions, send them through, or if you want to have any discussions about how to expand the use of NITRO at your organization, or look at any of our out-of-the-box applications, or extend trial licenses, feel free to reach out. We're always available via email, via the phone, via chat on our website. So however you want to reach out to us, feel free. I think that's about it. Anything else, Scott?
I think we're good. Yeah, good stuff. Thanks for everyone for joining.
All right, yeah, thanks everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and talk to you soon.